Hello everybody, hope you're having a wonderful day. Today I would like to share with you all my final thoughts on the Sencut Knives Glide Strike. I'm going to tell you guys right up front, this is an incredible piece and is extremely recommendable and it's just a no-brainer pickup. This being Sencut, part of the We Knife Co. Civivi whole family and company. It is built to the same standards of tolerances, just with lesser materials. The version that you see in front of you is one of four. I did get it on Blade HQ and I will be linking it down below. During the recording of this video, all four variations are available and I hope that this model does catch on and we might be able to see future iterations of it, maybe in the more premium to mid-tier with We or even Civivi. I think this would be really cool with 14C28N or Nitro V and maybe some carbon fibers or even micarta. Now they do offer this with micarta, black micarta for one of the variations, but the color scheme of a lot of these they're pretty simple. There's four of them, so you got a couple to choose from. The one that you see here in front of you is a satin finished blade. I'm not the biggest fan of satin, but that's really just a personal preference. And natural JG10, which this is going to stay in the collection and I will be modifying it. I'm going to attempt to recreate something like on this right here, nice deep blue with hints of green. So something reminiscent of a teal. That's one of my favorite colors, if not really my favorite color. They have black washed ones, or at least it says that it's black washed, but they look more like the coated ones. Not too sure what the coating is, but the price on these are $39.95. So a sub $50 knife, which puts it into this channel's ultra budget category. And this is probably the most amount of knife at that price point that is built as well as it is, which is pretty cool. It really is. Let's go ahead. We're going to do some size comparisons. I have 6 size comparison knives. We'll do the weight. This thing doesn't really weigh much for its size, honestly. It's quite impressive. It has a lot of skeletonization inside. So first off, we'll start with some bigger ones. This is the full-size RSK Doug Ritter design, the We Praxis. So both of them are smaller, or at least shorter than the Glide Strike. Two from Civivi. This is the Vision FG and the Elementum. These two are very popular knives, very common. And last but not least, some Spydercos. This is the PM2. So the Glide Strike is a full, dare I say, plus size knife. At least for me, this is as big as it gets that I would actually enjoy carrying and using. Even still, it would be really cool to see a slightly shrunken down version of this, just because the proportions and the overall silhouette of this knife is excellent. It's super simple. It's almost as if it was built by AI. That's how simple it is. If you plugged into an AI generator, super slicey, tall blade, ginormous forward finger choil, and simple straight handle, this is what the generator would shit out, basically. And a lot of people have been making similar remarks when it comes to Sencut and even stuff from Civivi, at least earlier in the year. Towards the end of the year, We Knife Co. overall, including Civivi and Sencut, they've been pushing out some, I wouldn't say questionable designs, but risky designs, stuff that's a little bit more interesting and getting people talking a little bit more about them, just trying to stay relevant, right? And this was something that they pumped out at the end of the year in the Sencut line that I think it's a hit. I think it's great. Me personally, this is a very large knife, but I do enjoy carrying it. The action on this is incredible. It has slowed down a little bit now that the detent has worn its track. In the beginning, it was like stupid drop shut because of the slight polish on the blade, or at least the factory finish. I wouldn't really call it a full polish or anything crazy like that. But when the detent ball was still in the process of wearing in its track, this had the most insane action. On top of being a large, heavy blade, even now, still, it's quite enjoyable. It is still extremely smooth and enjoyable to fidget with for sure. So we did some size comparisons. Let's take the weight on this. As I mentioned before, there's a shit ton of skeletonization, as you can see, about as much as could possibly be done without, I guess, impeding on the structural integrity of the knife overall. The steel liners are a tad bit proud, but everything is well finished and rounded off, so there's no sharp edges to this. 4.4, again, for the size of the knife, that is quite impressive. What would be my absolute dream is if this was actually brought to the level of WE and doing their 20 CV. That'd be super sick. Their super tight grained crystallized stonewash finish, I think that would be gorgeous. And then, you know, options of titanium or carbon fiber, I think that would be super sweet. And then keeping it as a liner lock, or even if they did an inset liner lock, because that's something that I've noticed that a lot of people have been a little bit more attracted to, is while Civivi and WE do, well, Civivi does a lot of these steel frame locks, WE does a lot of the titanium frame locks, and they're excellent. Like on the Praxis, it's an excellent design. It's very easy to fidget with and interact with the knife overall. But what I've noticed is that a lot of people like it where you can actually use it, you know, left-handed. So there's this covering the liner. You're not gonna actually lock yourself out if this was an exposed frame, and you can mount the clip on the other side as seen with a little hole right there. So it sits on the G10, which is not a big deal. You have flat screws. They are T6, but the aftermarket mill titanium clip should fit on this. I haven't tried it yet just because I've been using it and rocking it with just a regular steel clip. It works just fine. You don't really feel it too much in the hand, but if you really squeeze and bear down on it, you might feel this a little bit. Even still, it doesn't stick out too much, but it rides in the pocket extremely well, and it's very comfortable. There's nothing really, when this is closed, there's nothing really odd sticking out to possibly, you know, poke you or bug you by any means. So there's that. So we did size comparison, weight. Really isn't a whole lot else to talk about. The blade material here is 9CR, what does it say? 9CR 18 MOV, which is not really anything impressive. It's something to where you're probably going to have to be a little bit more on top of the maintenance. But I will say that because of the blade shape, there's nothing else really in the way. This is an incredible blade shape for somebody who is beginning the hobby and wanting to learn how to sharpen, specifically freehand sharpen. There's a whole lot of material to hold on to and just a very large broad blade to actually practice and figuring out your hand positioning. Now me, I don't do freehand sharpening. I have a fixed angled system. I use the Wicked Edge. That is the one and only system I will ever use just because I've gotten used to it, and it works just fine for me. What I have on here, I actually did bring back the edge a little bit. Let me see if I can find my, this was one of the last things I sharpened. No, I did the Remet, the QSP. Yeah, 17 degrees. That's what I did. So I put a 17-degree edge on this. It is stupid slicey, so freaking stupid slicey. Now, because it is such a thin edge, and it also coming from the factory, thin behind the edge, this is going to be a little bit more delicate. Coming from the factory, it does come with a, geez, I believe it's like a 23 to 25 degree edge. So it's a whole lot more robust and more likely to shrug off harder use. But personally, I think that such a large blade, as tall as it is, it just made sense for me to put a super slicey edge on this. And I'm very happy that I did, because now this is performing as good as it possibly could ever perform. That's something that I've noticed about stuff coming from Civivi, is that, or even other budget knives actually. Like I have this one over here. This is the Kaiser Laconic line Porcupine. The factory edge on this, while it was good, it was around that 20 to 25 on the angle, and I laid it back. I think there's maybe an 18-degree edge on here, which is what I also have on my Native 5s, and that's like my preferred edge angle, and it's excellent. It's super slicey. It is robust enough. Of course, I'm not an individual that runs into packages that have staples or pieces of wood or anything crazy like that. Majority of what I use my knives for is cardboard and plastic, and if I ever want to whittle on a piece of stick, I don't really do that too often, but I could if I wanted to with confidence. So the most that would happen to this is probably a rolled edge, but because it is soft material, it's easy to sharpen. Also extremely easy to maintain. My daily carry is a little NAF's leather strop and the Civivi little key bit thing. This already has, compound on it, just a couple little swipes, and this thing is ready to shave hair, which is absolutely awesome. It's pretty cool. Any real nitpicks about this? I'm not a fan that the pivot is it's spinning. It's a free spinning pivot, so that kind of sucks. You do have to have two bits to take it apart. The body screws, you do have T8s again, but with the clip you have T6s. If you opt for the titanium pocket clip, they will be T8s at that point, so you'll at least just have the one bit size when it comes to disassembly if you do get that upgraded piece. Is running on ceramic bearings. It has a ceramic detent ball. I already mentioned the steel liners. It has these two little steel standoffs right there. There really isn't anything super interesting to talk about when it comes to this, besides the fact that this is an incredible blade shape. While it does look like it's a clip point, it's a little bit different than just a typical clip point that kind of sweeps up. I'm not the fan of those. This is as close as it gets to me ever owning one of those and actually using and enjoying one. But the reason why I like this blade shape so much is that I've been using this a crap ton in the kitchen, because I can actually use that forward finger choil and get majority, I'm talking like this much of the blade. This is about as much of the blade that's actually useful to me when I'm in the kitchen if I'm chopping stuff. And this has shrugged off a lot of hard stemmed vegetables. So if I were going through potatoes or any kind of cold meat, even carrots, things like that, my fiance has actually been using this as something to cut gift wrapping paper, which I don't know why she needs such a large freaking knife to do that. She has knives of her own that are sharp enough to do that, but she claims she'd rather have this for whatever freaking reason. But that is pretty much it. There isn't much else to talk about. I do enjoy this thing. It's kind of funky looking when it's closed. When I did my unboxing, I did mention that, oh, I think this might be able to be a front flipper. Yeah, no, it's not. If you have it down low and you flick it like as hard as you can with a little bit of wrist, you can get the blade to whip out. But it's more of, because you put pressure there, and then the actual momentum, you could possibly get it out, kind of like that. But you really got to push your thumb into it, and it's not meant for that. It is very uncomfortable, and I honestly think it was a missed opportunity. You could have possibly been able to do that a little bit more reliably without, shredding your thumb to pieces like that. But if there was just a little bit more of the blade material sticking out, just a tad bit to make a little tab. Do I even have an example of that? I do, actually. I don't have too many front flippers in my collection, but this is one of them. So this is the Remet Urbane. Recently did a review on this. Excellent knife, if this is something that you like, visually speaking. But the way they did their flipper tab is excellent. Even though the blade finish on this is a high polish, and the jimping doesn't wrap all the way around like you would prefer. It's still shaped well enough in correlation to the pivot that you get enough, I guess, momentum, and you're able to put enough pressure on that to reliably get it out. I do have another one. This is the Miguron Curix 2. And the jimping on this is much shorter, but as you can see here, they did wrap it all the way around, which is as good as it could possibly ever get for a front flipper. That's how it should be done, not any other way. That's probably the best example I can provide for you guys at this moment in time. My buzz is a little bit different shaped. This is just rounded here, but a similar concept, jimping pretty much all the way to where any spot where your finger would be, contacting comfortably. But this is of course a $300 something knife here. This is a sub $50 knife. But even still, the opportunity was there. It was missed, most likely because this knife was generated by AI. But even still, this is a great looking knife, wonderful in use. It's not something that's super heavy duty use oriented, but it's something that's just going to be a mega slicer and just something that is awesome to use for really anything, just nothing that is inappropriate. It does have a relatively thick tip, but nothing to where I would recommend doing any kind of light prying. Even then, definitely thicker than the tip on a PM2, which are very easily snapped, but even still, you can get a lot of precision work done with this. So, and because of the blade shape, you can get to that tip without really lifting your wrist much, or I guess canting your wrist much. So that is about it. There's not much else to really say. I would love to see this possibly shrunken down 25% and then brought to the market in more premium materials. I think some carbon fibers are in order, or even some titanium. That would be really cool. This is an incredible shape and design, and I think that it deserves to be much more than what it is currently. I'm still thankful that this was, made as is, because it is something that would be fun to work on for modification purposes. I know there's a lot of people out there in the community, incredible individuals that can do nice modification work in the sense of either making aftermarket scales or doing stuff to the liners, or maybe creating custom back spacers, stuff like that, or even different types of things that you can do with the titanium clip. There's a lot of modification that could be done to such a simple platform as this is. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will be linking it down below. Again, it is a highly recommendable knife. If you did enjoy it, thank you so much. I appreciate all your support and your patience, of course. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing, because I have plenty more videos and content coming your guys' way. Make sure to turn on your notification bell so you're notified about new videos. And with that, have a wonderful rest of your day.